I did my presentation on Zeugma or Zeugma. The definition of Zeugma is that it usually consists of the use of one verb to convey both a literal and metaphorical meaning. So let's take a look at a couple examples so we can understand what that means. These are a couple original examples that I made using Zeugma. So the first is the untrustworthy salesman convinced the customer to buy his lies and his product. So the word buy in the sentence applies to buying his lies and buying his product. Buying his lies would be the metaphorical sense, and buying his product would be the literal sense. And the second one is when she fell down the stairs in front of everyone, it broke her leg and her confidence. So broke applies to leg and confidence. Breaking her leg is the literal sense, of course, and breaking her confidence is the metaphorical sense. Now, these are some examples that I made for some texts that we've read this year. Zeugma is not a commonly used term in literature. Often it can cause grammar problems that mess up whatever you're trying to say. So these are just some examples of how I think the author could have used Zeugma based on what their point of view was. So for the first one, I did it for Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell. The example that I made was both the elephant and my ability to resist the pressure were now shot. So he shot the elephant, of course, so that was the literal sense, but he was kind of pressured into it by the people, kind of ironically that he was supposed to be oppressing. And so his ability to resist the pressure was shot, and that's the metaphorical sense there. So that applies to both of those, and therefore it's an example of Zeugma. And the second example is I made for the Glass Castle. So Rex, I put Rex just to clear up any confusion. She might not have referred to her dad as Rex, but this way we know what I'm talking about. So Rex exhausted my patience and his excuses. So exhausted my patience would be the metaphorical sense, would be the literal sense, and excuses exhausted my patience would be the metaphorical sense, and excuses would be the literal sense. He used up all his excuses, but he also exhausted her patience. So that's an example of Zeugma for that text that we read. These are examples from the real world, so things that you'd see maybe on a daily basis or here that use Zeugma. So it is used, but it's not a very commonly used type of literary concept. So the first one's from a song by Taylor Swift. It's called Our Song, and it's in the first verse. She says, "I was riding shotgun with my hair undone in the front seat of his car. He's got a one hand feel on the steering wheel, the other on my heart." So the feel that he has is both metaphorically on her heart and literally on the steering wheel. And then the second one's from Star Trek: The Next Generation. And it says, "You are free to execute your laws and your citizens as you see fit." So it uses the word execute in multiple ways. Both execute as in to kill people, but also as in to enforce their laws. So it uses one word two different ways, not necessarily literally or metaphorically, but it does use it two different ways. So that's Zeugma. So you do see Zeugma in real life. I've recently read an example in the Hunger Games, which is in the second book, Catching Fire. So it is a type of literary concept that you do see, but it may not be as common as others, like alliteration and metaphor and simile and those kinds of examples.